Hey everyone, thanks for joining us this week on the Niners News Update. This week we're going to recap the 26-23 overtime win against the Cincinnati Bengals, which advanced us up to 7-6 and kept us in position in the wild card race in the NFC playoffs at sixth. So
Restful ass game.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
one that's one of the ones this season that was definitely one of the most stressful. I mean, with the way that we'll get more into it, but yeah, very stressful.
yeah. I mean, I remember we talked about it on last week's show that I knew that the Bengals and Joe Burrow. I have a lot of respect for Joe Burrow. I think he's going to be a really really talented player. And I mean, in his second year, he's already shown what he can do. And he definitely lit it up for over 300 yards against us and made it very close, taking that game into overtime at 20-20. And yeah, we'll get more into that right now. The game started interestingly enough, with Jermichael Hasty back there returning kicks since Trenton Cannon was back there, or I'm sorry, since Trenton Cannon was injured a couple weeks back, with that kind of scary hit where he had to be taken off the field in an ambulance.
Yeah, that was a rough hit, dude. And
So
seeing that the ambulance come out, you don't want to see that. Like,
yeah,
I don't really
yeah.
care what team it is or who it is, but you just
No, yeah. I mean, it's always bad when they go straight for the ambulance. They don't even bring out the cart. It's just
yeah,
that's always
yeah.
usually means like a player's like not moving well or something. But yeah, so Jermichael Hasty back there returning kicks. Our first drive, nothing to report about. I mean, we just went three and out on our first drive after two runs that really didn't get much, and then sack on third down. The Bengals
Fortunately, the Bengals did the same on their first drive, so at least it
right,
started out
yeah,
equally terrible for both teams.
punt fest, yeah, punt fest football.
Yeah,
It's always
punt, 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 and then some
yeah,
field goals later on.
yeah. Yeah, so on our next drive, we would end up picking up a first down on a throw to Kittle, but then unfortunately the drive stalled out after that, and we ended up punting it right back. So
And
again,
yet another punt.
but but we did kind of get an advantageous break here when Darius Phillips, the Bengals return man, muffed the punt, and River Craycroft. River Craycraft. I always do that. River Craycraft recovered the fumble. So it was good to see him in there because he's activated all the
Good
practice
old
squad.
River and Craycroft.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So he made a good heads up play coming up with the ball there, and we'll get into why that muff is relevant here in a little bit. But that would set the Niners up in a really nice position where Jimmy on a 3rd and 5 um, would connect with Ayuk, but Trent Williams was called for a holding penalty, so that backed us up to 3rd and 14. So then we end up hitting Juwan Jennings for 12 yards, which that sets up a short field goal attempt of 33 yards that put us up 3-0. So another big play for Jennings. I mean, he's really been stepping up as our number three
Yeah, I
receiver.
wanted to say Juwan Jennings has really been looking very good. I
Yeah,
mean, it seems like his name just keeps coming up. And all the games,
right.
every game I keep watching, it's like
Yeah,
Juwan Jennings, and he gets a couple good, really nice plays. So yeah,
yeah.
you guys have really got a good guy with him.
It is hard to earn Kyle Shanahan's trust as a rookie wide receiver, and he definitely has. I mean, he's
Yeah,
actually I shouldn't say he last year was his rookie season, but he missed the entire season. So this is more or less his rookie season. But it is technically his second year in the league. But yeah, he's been coming up big in the absence of Mohamed Sanu since he's been out. He was our number three receiver, so
yeah.
he's
It's
been
always great
stepping
to
up.
see a backup kind of player come in and do as well as he's done. Like I mean, he in a lot of these games, he's been one of the big names.
Yeah,
Like a lot of big plays he gets,
yeah.
and
Yeah, I mean the other game against the Vikings, I mean he had one touchdown and he would have had two if his knee didn't go down out of bounds. I mean
yeah,
he would have had a huge game, definitely the best game of
that
his.
was such a close call too.
Yeah,
Like,
it was, it absolutely was. But yeah, with the Niners up 3-0, I mean the Bengals would answer back on a 10-play drive and add a 37-yard Evan McPherson field goal. Evan McPherson, that tied the game up at 3-3. That kid's a banger. He's got 7 field goals of over 50 yards made already as a rookie. So the
wow.
Bengals have themselves a kid that can really drive the shit out of the football. So he had a 37 yard there, so probably in his element a chip shot. But yeah, that tied the
Right.
game up at 3-3. After that, the Niners would respond with our best drive of the day to that point on a six-play 75-yard drive capped with a 27-yard Debo Samuel rushing touchdown, which would be his sixth of the season, and 11th total touchdown. So six on the ground to go with his five receiving touchdowns.
I would say
And
the argument could be made that Debo Samuel is the best player on the San Francisco 49ers, I would say.
yeah, I mean, I would think that the only argument as far as that goes might be, the big silverback Trent Williams.
That's a good point. You're
Like,
right. Yeah,
yeah,
I could see that as well. That's
but
a good
yeah,
point.
outside of that, and then you got to give some recognition to Kittle as well. But yeah, all of the but yeah,
Very
I mean
true.
Debo Samuel, like, definitely for what he does, there hasn't been a player that, I mean, because there's
Yeah,
a
it's
lot
his
of receivers.
multifaceted approach,
Yeah,
like how
yeah,
he does so much on the field. And any player, like like I've said many times, like I like Taysom Hill, like just the fact
mm,
that he goes out there and does all
yeah,
these different things. It's like it's really hard not to respect that. So to see a guy like Debo Samuel go out and he's running, he's catching passes,
yeah,
he's throwing passes
yeah,
sometimes. I
yeah.
mean, like
He
you
does it
love
all.
to see that.
He does
You
it
just
all.
it's just nothing
Yeah.
better to see than that.
Yeah, he's almost like the Swiss Army knife. He can
Yeah,
do it all.
yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, yeah. And I mean, we've got so many guys like that. We've got a guy like Juszczyk that can do
Yeah,
so
I
many
was
different
thinking he's
things.
checked too.
Yeah.
Yep, and
So just so many guys that can do so many different things, which makes our offense just like when it's clicking and Jimmy's getting the ball out quick. We're just so
Mhm.
explosive. But yeah, I mean, on the Bengals' next drive, Joey Burrow throws a pick to Jimmy Ward. It would have been his third pick of the season if it wouldn't have been for an illegal hands to the face call by Ambry Thomas, our rookie corner, who
Yeah,
was getting
Ambry
this.
Thomas, he's the rookie, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's right.
Ambry Thomas getting the start in place of Emmanuel Mosley, who was missing his
Right.
second game with the ankle injury. So hopefully he's back soon because Ambry Thomas, he's made some good plays, but he's definitely been burned and made some costly
That's
fools.
probably why, like they probably like to throw towards him because they know he's a rookie and he might be prone to
Absolutely.
mistakes. So, when that happened, they're probably like they're real happy to see it because I mean, unfortunately he did that, but he seems like he could be a good corner. So hopefully he can learn with some time.
Yeah, and I mean he's a rookie, and I mean all corners like are going to go through that process. There's not a corner out there that's never been burned, and
Yeah.
so yeah, I mean it's just something that they have to go through, and you just got to have a short memory and just move on. And I mean they've got would have been interesting. I know we talked about on earlier shows if the Niners would have brought in Richard Sherman, and I know we didn't, and the Buccaneers did. But
Hmm.
for the sake of the fact that we have Diamador Lenore and Ambry Thomas alone, I would have liked to see us bring Sherman to like give us
Yeah.
an All Pro experience with the rookies.
Exactly. Yeah, I was gonna say the
And
veteran experience to have him in
yeah,
there to help them along, teach
yeah.
them some things, and yeah, I definitely agree. I feel like
And
that would have been a good opportunity for them.
and Sherm's a great veteran player that, like, no offense to Josh Norman, because I'm sure Josh Norman is helpful to the younger players, but I feel like Sherm is really a guy that would want to teach the younger players from like his vibe and everything.
I
Whereas
agree.
like yeah, I don't know if like Josh Norman is the same like on the field type of player coach, like whereas like Sherm definitely was.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
I mean I think that leadership's definitely missed, and yeah, I mean just an odd comment on that, mentioning the fact that we have two young rookie corners out there. I think we could have benefited from that.
No,
But
yeah, I definitely agree. I think they could have helped,
yeah,
to teach them and maybe prevent some mistakes and even go in when, I mean, Sherman, he was still a good player. So I mean, he's dealt with some stuff in the off
yeah,
season and his own,
and some injuries.
mental health struggles and some injuries. But
Yeah,
yeah, I think that would have been I mean, because he's already been on the team, bringing back players that already know a system that
yeah.
you can work with is really big sometimes.
And I remember when we talked about it, like Sherm signed off the street. He hadn't played football all season for the Buccaneers, and he played like 78 out of 82 snaps. Like his first game back, I was like, that is like Iron Man status. I was like, dude hadn't played like, and I know he had some injury issues after that with his hamstring, but I mean, it's just impressive that he was able to go that many plays.
Yeah, definitely.
But
How old is Richard Sherman? Like 32 or something like that?
I want to say he's
Maybe.
32. Yeah, let's
Uh,
let's let's see.
if that's what it is, I was kind of a guess, but I'm pretty sure he's over 30. So
Yeah, let's take a look here. But anyway,
Crazy.
yeah,
It's like that's like basically our age. Like what the fuck?
I was gonna say since yeah, let's see, 33. Okay,
33. All right.
yeah.
So pretty
So
close.
yeah. Anyway, what was I going to? Oh yeah. So since that penalty wiped out the interception, it gave the Bengals the opportunity to keep moving with the ball, and they would end up scoring on a 37-yard touchdown pass from Joe Burrow to Jamar Chase. However, it would end up being reviewed and overturned. Um, so they ended up having to settle for a field goal to make it 10-6. McPherson's second field goal of the game. But what was notable about that was Fred Warner would end up getting banged up on the drive. Um, he obviously was just coming back. He had missed one game, so definitely didn't want to see that. Now he would end up returning, so it wasn't anything super concerning. But anytime you see Fred Warner, the captain of the defense, go down and he's got to leave for even one play, it's
Yeah,
like
you don't want to see those
ugh,
key players go down.
no,
Like
not
when
at
Chase
all.
Young went down for
Yeah,
Washington. It's like
absolutely.
you don't. No one wants to see that. It's like even the rival team should, if they're not assholes, should be like, well, we don't really want to see that. That's you want to beat the team in its prime. You don't want to win a game against a depleted team.
Right.
Just
Yeah.
isn't the same. At least
Right.
in my opinion.
No, I agree. Yeah, it definitely doesn't have the same merit or bragging rights. I mean, you'll always take a win, but yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
It's,
absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely. Like if
yeah,
Dallas is just completely fucked with injuries, like I'll take the win. I'm not going to
yeah,
complain, but
yeah.
at the
Especially
same
with
time, though,
yeah,
I in the back of my head, I'm gonna be like, well, it would be nice if to beat
right,
them, to beat a team in its prime, and not have to win that way. But
yeah,
definitely, always take a win.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, and so I mean, at that point we're up 10-6, and there's 142 left on the clock. Um, and on a 3rd and 14, Jimmy hits Travis Benjamin on a deep pass. It was a beautifully thrown deep pass. I've noticed they've been taking a couple more deep shots with him lately. So they hit Travis Benjamin, who honestly doesn't have any catches on the season. I think he's been targeted like 6 times, doesn't have one catch on the season. I don't know why we keep using him, especially when we have River Craycraft on the team. Give River a chance. It's like let River run some routes in the offense because Travis Benjamin, Jimmy hits him right in the hands on a deep pass, and it got knocked away by the defender, which would force a punt. Now we ended up like not being too badly affected because this is why I told you this would be relevant earlier. But Darius Phillips would muff his second punt of the day, and this time it would be another one of the Niners receivers coming up with it on special teams. It was Trent Shearfield. So River came up with the first one. Trent came up with the second one. Sets the Niners up beautifully um, in already in Bengals territory. And Jimmy, after one play, hits Kittle for his 6th touchdown catch of the season, which is a new career high. Kittle's had 5 touchdowns a couple times in his career, but that's establishing a new career high for him.
Yeah, that was a big play. Like after that, like
Yeah,
and which is funny, Darius Phillips muffing his second punt. I wonder if he got benched after that. Did he
he
return
did.
any more punts after
No,
that? He did.
no.
Okay.
Stanley Berryhill was in after that. I
Oh,
was going to mention that.
okay. So he did get benched.
Yeah,
Okay.
you got
Yeah,
me.
I mean, I feel like one time is like, yeah, maybe I'll give you some slack, but I
One
mean,
time,
geez,
shame on me.
seven.
2 times, fuck you. It's like I can't do it. Yeah, he can't be the reason you lose the game. And I mean,
Yeah.
he probably was. But anyway, yeah. So yeah, Jimmy connects with Kittle with 18 seconds remaining. In the half. So definitely not enough time for the Bengals to really do anything with that. So we would take a 17-6 lead into the half. So that's always pretty good against a tough team in the Bengals that I knew was going to give us, a run for our money, and then they certainly did.
So
So
at that point, it looked like it was going to be a bit of more of an easy win, but obviously it didn't turn out that way. But with 17-6 at the half, it seemed like it might be going a little easier.
yeah, I just know with Boyd and Jamar Chase and the other I always forget their third receiver's name. It's
I honestly could not tell you,
yeah,
but especially the fact that starting the second half, the Niners' first drive that led them to a field goal to put them ahead 20-6. So I
Yeah,
mean, at that point, I was feeling especially
yeah.
confident. I'm like, well, shit, dude, 20-6.
It started to look pretty good. Yeah, yeah. It did. But then the Bengals put together a pretty long drive. It would stall out after we would get to Burrow on third down, forcing the Bengals to try a 46-yard field goal, which he actually missed. So McPherson did miss his first field goal of the day. Previously, he was 2 for 2. Um, and we held the Bengals out of the end zone actually all the way until there was 9:20 to play in the fourth quarter when Joe Burrow found Jamar Chase in the back of the end zone. This one did count for an impressive touchdown. It was a very impressive touchdown in the back of the end zone to make the game 20-13.
Yeah, I feel like I remember seeing that one. It was a really nice catch.
Yeah, I mean Jamar Chase is an insane rookie. He's you know set Bengals rookie records that had previously been established by Chris Collinsworth. So he's just gone off on what he's done as the
Jesus,
Bengals
by
rookie.
Chris Collinsworth. What,
Yeah,
what was that? Like 50 years ago?
yeah,
Probably like 30, but
it was in the 80s. It was in the 80s. Yeah,
that would be about 40 years ago.
yeah, yeah.
Damn.
And then let's see here. So yeah, so as we're trying to run out the clock, up 20-13, we would end up picking up a first down and taking some time off the clock. But then Jimmy would end up taking his fourth sack of the game on third down, and the Niners would have to punt it back with 6:40 left on the clock. So we were able to run, 2 or 3 minutes off the clock, but not obviously take more time off there, and obviously not able to add more points to it. Um, we would, however, stop Cincinnati on the next drive when when K'Wan Williams would sack Burrow on third down. So the sacks were pretty evenly matched. I want to say they were. Let's see.
Yeah, there were plenty on both sides of that game.
Yeah, I want to say it was like the Bengals had 4 and we had 3. Let me verify that. It was like in the Washington game, like Dallas had 5 and you guys had 4. So it was like
Yeah, I don't even know how the hell we got that. I mean, just
Landon Collins had 2.
yeah,
John
and that's
Allen
that's
had
the
1.
big point of it. But yeah, big part of it. But yeah, that just like looking at the stats at the end of
Oh,
that
okay.
game, and like after watching it, I
Yeah.
I was like blown away.
Yeah, both teams had 5 sacks in this game.
Yeah,
So
damn.
I always like to get into the sacks. Obviously, we're always tracking his numbers. Um, Bosa had 2 in the game, so that brings his number to. I want to get the current number here. 14
Wasn't
on
it
the season. Yeah,
14? Okay.
yeah. So he's at 14, and they're talking about how he's got a chance to potentially break the Niners' all-time sack record with 4 games to go, which is 19 and a half. So he's five and a half away. So he would need 6 sacks. Which I mean, with the kind of season he's had, like it would be difficult, but I mean, if anybody can do it, especially with the kind of season he's having, and even if he doesn't do it this season, there's a
Yeah,
good
I mean, he
chance he'll.
definitely has a chance this season though. He's real close.
Yeah, yeah, he is, he is. I remember when Alden Smith set that record,
Damn.
at 19 and a half, and I didn't think that anybody would ever break that, but he he just might. We'll have to see. But yeah, so 5 sacks apiece. Bosa had 2. K'Wan Williams had 1. Aziz Al-Shire had 1. And then Samson Ibukam and Arden Key split 1. Arden Key's got 4 sacks as a backup defensive lineman. So getting him from the Raiders, he's been a big acquisition as far as providing depth. Really
Yeah,
glad to have him.
absolutely.
Yeah, but let's get back to just capping off this real quick. Where was I? I was at the K'Wan Williams sack of um so yeah, we would get them to punt it back. So we'd take the clock down under 3 minutes in the fourth quarter, but then the Bengals would have us punt it back. So our offense really stalled out in the second half, and we ended up having to really we were punting a lot in the second half. We just weren't able to sustain drives, and it was pretty frustrating. But on the first play of the you know ensuing Bengals drive, Bosa would end up picking up his 13th sack. One of those two. And then with 119 left on the clock, Burrow hits Jamar Chase for his second touchdown of the game. And then the extra point would be good. So that ties the game up. So with 119, tie game, really, frustrating situation considering.
Yeah, then this is the part where it
26.
gets real stressful.
Yeah. From here it was definitely a lot different. So we'll get into that. So yeah, the drive, our next drive was good. It was solid, but Jimmy hits Kittle on a 19-yard gain, where Kittle makes a fantastic leaping catch to move the Niners into range for a 47-yard field goal attempt. So Jimmy on that last drive in regulation really set us up to win the game. Except Robbie missed the field goal 47 yards wide right, and Robbie's still been having a pretty good season overall, but that miss was obviously key. I think
that was a big miss.
Yeah, he ended up missing. I want to say he missed one the week before, and I know he's missed one extra point on the season. So yeah, let's see here. So he missed. No, he didn't miss one against the Seahawks. Okay, no. So in his last 3 games, he missed one against the Bengals. He was 2 out of 3, and made 2 out of 2 extra points. With the Seahawks, he was 1 for 1 on field goals and 2 for 3 on extra points. So he did miss a kick.
Okay,
then.
so he missed an extra point.
So, and then against the Vikings, he was 2 for 3 on field goals and 4 for 4. So in his last 3 games, he's missed at least 1 kick in each. So we know he was hurt. He was on injured reserve, and we had to sign Joey Sly, who you guys ended up getting after us, for 3 games. But he came back.
And we need him back.
Yeah, you guys do, especially with Brian Johnson not being the best. But yeah, he came back off injured reserve, and he made all his kicks for the first 3 weeks. So I don't know if it's injury related or what, but he definitely needs to pull it together, especially if we're going to make a playoff run. So yeah, Jimmy got us in range, for a 47-yard field goal attempt. Obviously, that's no gimme, but definitely a field goal you would expect Robbie. Robbie's one of the greatest kickers of all time. Robbie's a phenomenal kicker. You'd expect him to make that.
Absolutely.
Just So then, yeah. So then the game goes to fucking overtime, which I hate overtime. Overtime.
Oh yeah, and then they win the coin toss.
Yeah,
and get the ball
fucking
first.
hate
It's
overtime,
like,
dude.
fuck.
There's no moment, and if you don't know this about me, actually I should say this, most of the time I usually don't give a shit, but if it's the team that I'm all about and they're in overtime, just because one play could sink you.
Yeah.
It's just one broken run, one missed tackle, and your game's over, and that's it without getting a chance to retaliate. So the Bengals, of course, win the toss, as we mentioned, and it's shit. This is rough. So, T. Higgins is the other receiver. That's right, because it's relevant here. Higgins. I don't know why I can never remember that. But, so Bengals get the ball first. First play of overtime. Burrow finds T. Higgins for a huge gain, which gets the damn Bengals already into field goal range. And Burrow was dealing on the day. I know I mentioned it earlier. His final numbers on the day: 25 of 34, 348 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. As usual, the Niners, played pretty well against the run. Mixon, their running back, had 18 carries for 58 yards. So not much on the ground, but yeah, they killed us on the ground, especially Jamar Chase. He had 2 touchdown catches. But yeah, so they're already in field goal range after one huge play, and it's all right, what's already adding to a stressful situation has now gotten even worse.
Yeah.
So yeah. And luckily, in godlike human form, Nick Bosa would come through for his 14th sack of the season and fucking just like force the Bengals to kick a 41-yard field. So it knocked him a little bit back, a little bit further back. He still ended up making it, but obviously, bless Nick bless Nick Bosa for getting to the quarterback and
At that
forcing
point,
that
when they
play.
did get that field goal, though, I was like, man, fuck. Like
Yeah,
there's one drive left,
I didn't love it.
basically.
I didn't love it, but especially with how he'd been playing in the second half. But Jimmy is really good about like when there's like not a lot of time left in the game and he needs a drive. I don't know if I'm not saying that he's Tom Brady. Obviously, I'm not saying that. But it's almost like he like got that, because that is one of his better things about his game.
It is.
Because I'll mention several situations against the Green Bay Packers. We were down, and then he led us down to what seemed like the game winner. We just left 36 seconds, and Aaron Rodgers is fucking Aaron Rodgers, and
Yeah, that was.
like, but that should have been a win. That should have been a win. Like, and then in this game, like, we'll get into it. So the Niners get a chance to retort, to respond, and Jimmy on this drive has probably his best throw of the game when he found Jennings on a back shoulder throw. Do you remember that? Like Jennings doing like
Yeah,
the back. Yeah.
absolutely.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
yeah, dude. And then,
Jimmy
and like
with.
I was saying earlier, Jennings, man,
Yeah.
he's been balling out, dude.
Yeah.
Like he's been
Yeah.
great for you guys.
Yeah. I mean, even the people that hate on Jimmy have to respond and say that that was probably one of his better catches. And yeah, as you mentioned, Jennings, 3 catches for 46 yards. So definitely a good game on 5 targets. So he played well. Now Kittle balled out, and we're going to talk about why that's relevant in a second. For the second straight game after getting like 181 against Seattle last week, Kittle had 13 catches, 151 yards, 1 touchdown. Ayuk had 6 catches, 62 yards, 1 touchdown. Debo, for the second straight week, only 1 catch for 22 yards, but he did have 8 carries for 37 yards in that rushing touchdown we mentioned. But yeah, I mean, it was really only him and Jeff Wilson running the ball since Elijah Mitchell was out, and Jeff Wilson had 13 carries for 56 yards. But yeah, Jimmy. Let's get back to that final drive. So he finds Jennings, and then Jimmy would hit Ayuk in the flat on a play that Ayuk turned all the way upfield on I believe it was a 12-yard play. He hits Ayuk like short in the flat, and Ayuk, doing what he does with the yard after catch game, making it all the way. And then it seemed like he went airborne like the final 2 yards, and got in for a touchdown for the Niners to win the game, 26-23 in overtime, in a stressful ass game to go to
Yeah,
7 and
way too
6.
stressful. Like shit, when it comes down to like that kind of thing, where it's like this is a drive here. If nothing happens here, like
Yeah.
it's a damn nail biter.
But on that final drive, and this is what I wanted to bring up, Jimmy was 6 for 6. So, like I said, when the game's on the line, like Jimmy almost plays some of his best football.
That's what counts, man. You got to be able to perform under pressure. You can't pull a Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the thing, because we could have had Kirk Cousins, and that's one thing that Jimmy has over Kirk Cousins. Like, they're very similar as far as the ceiling, but
Yeah,
Jimmy under pressure in like big game situations, clearly better than Kirk Cousins.
definitely.
Like Jimmy did, I know the Super Bowl. Everybody's going to mention the Super Bowl, but Kirk's never even gotten a sniff of the Super Bowl. So like let's face facts.
That Super Bowl was painful. Like no one
was.
needs to remember
was.
that.
Hopefully we can redeem it with a deep run into the playoffs this year. We're getting hot at the right
Definitely.
time. We've won 4 out of 5. So
Yeah,
I mean,
definitely. I mean, another
it's a
win
good
next
team.
week, you'll be 8-6.
Yeah, so we've got the Atlanta Falcons. Let's talk about that real quick before we get off there. Now, the Atlanta Falcons, on paper, looks like it could be an easy win. But before we jump the gun on that, like, I don't know. And I know I always say this, but that's because it's the NFL. And I always look at it realistically. And there are weapons. Now, Matt Ryan has played in the NFL for like 106 fucking years. So, I mean, obviously the man's got experience, and he's played in a Super Bowl. Ironically, with Kyle Shanahan as his offensive coordinator in 2016. So that was the game they lost after being up 28-3 at the half. And anyway, but they have I mean they have a lot. They have Cordero Patterson, who is like an older version of like Debo. He's like not as explosive, but like he does the same kind of thing where they line him up as a running back and a receiver. They have Kyle Pitts, who I really like as a rookie tight end. He's a physically gifted specimen.
Yeah, he
Just
looks
really,
huge. Like you
he's
can just
huge.
tell
He's
next
a
next to the
monster,
other
dude.
players.
He's a
Oh my
monster. He's
God,
like
I was
6'7",
noticing that.
dude.
I was like,
Yeah,
that dude is fucking huge.
that's why they used like the fourth pick on him, dude. Because Atlanta was
Yeah,
like, well, we could get a
solid
quarterback,
pick.
or we could get this fucking guy that's going to dominate the tight end game for the next fucking 10 to 12 years.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's what they did because they figured Matt Ryan still had a good and he's been playing decent. Matt Ryan hasn't been playing like he's got 17 touchdowns, 17 touchdowns, 11 interceptions on the season so far. So mid-range season for sure.
Yeah.
I mean that's right around where Jimmy's at. Jimmy's got 17 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. So Jimmy has been managing his interceptions well, though. Knock on wood that it continues against him. But yeah, Jimmy in this game, or let's just give you his numbers real quick: 27 for 41, 296 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. So that was definitely awesome.
Pretty solid game.
Yeah. And I don't think we had. Yeah, Niners we won the turnover battle 2-0. The only 2 turnovers were those 2 muffed punts. So that was relevant because we got
and that
points
wins
off
games.
both of them. Yeah, and we got 10 points off those for sure. So it was notable. But yeah, so Atlanta, they've got some weapons. Their defense is not great, but like they're towards the end of the pack. So I definitely look for our defense to give them trouble and definitely get to the quarterback a couple times. Hopefully Bosa can get at least, 1 more sack, maybe 2 or 3 more, get closer to that, Niners sack record. But yeah, I mean, a win moves us up to 8-6. And, like we need to win to stay in the 6th spot. Because that kind of like fucks up everything. Like we start sliding down. Like if we knock down, then like we knock you guys out, and then it's like we can't have that. We all got to keep winning. Like we just got to keep the momentum going. Because we can't knock down to 7. Because if we knock down to 7, we knock you guys out. So it's like we don't want to knock down to 7. We just want to keep on winning. We need the team to go out and beat the Eagles. Because the Eagles are also in the NFC wildcard spot, so that helps us all. If you guys beat the Eagles, just like when we helped you guys inadvertently kind of beat the Falcons today, now we need you guys to help us beat the Eagles. So it's all.
I mean, beating the Eagles is a little bit. Actually, I guess not, because Dallas is going to win the division.
People helping people. People helping people. We're all just a union here. The colors are pretty similar. See.
They are actually, which is funny.
From the banners, yeah. Banners.
Yeah, look at that. It's like, I mean, you can tell it's a little deeper red and it's a little bit of a different gold, but yeah, it's pretty damn similar.
Yeah. So yeah, hopefully, we can stay hot. I mean, besides 1 loss to Seattle and 1 loss for you guys to Dallas, I mean, we've both won 4 out of 5. So both teams have been really fucking hot. So
yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna put a graphic up on the screen here. And I know I've shown you this graphic before, but the hottest teams in the NFC since like the midpoint of the season.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so that shows you where the Niners and Washington have been since then. So obviously 2 of the hottest teams in football. So definitely need to just keep winning out. This is where each game matters. I mean, played your ass off all season to get to this point right here and to be in the mix, and both teams are.
All about that December football.
Yep, that's all you can do. And both teams are, pretty good at running the ball. I mean, just got to keep it going.
Yeah, as long as Gibson stops fumbling the ball, but yeah.
Williams beat Gore on split decision, 38-37, 37-38, and then 40-35 on the 3 judges. So, I mean, it seemed like it was close, but Woodley not Woodley. Woodley was the guy that fought Paul. But as far as strikes landed, Williams landed 48 and Gore landed 39. And as far as the percentage of punches, So Williams connected with 48 out of 156 for 31% connection rate. Gore hit 39 of 166 for 24. So definitely, I mean, it was a good effort for his first fight ever. I mean, Deron Williams has fought before a little bit, so I mean, he obviously
The
had
numbers
the
make
edge.
it sound like better than it looked. Like I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
watching some of it, it
For
it
yeah,
didn't.
it didn't look that close. It
Kind of
looked
like
like
that Cowboys Washington game that ended 27-20.
yeah.
Like you look at the
Some
stats and you don't really see how shitty it was.
sometimes you get those
Like
inflated numbers. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. But yeah, just wanted to cover that real quick. We will see if Frank decides to pursue any additional fights and how he does if that does happen, if that does transpire. We will certainly cover that. But yeah, just wanted to get into that and mention that real quick. But definitely, kudos to him for trying it. You know, takes a lot of effort to go out there and like we talked about with the Vaccaro situation the other week. It takes a decent amount of risk to go out there and try something that you've never really done before.
yeah, definitely.
Join us next week when we recap the Atlanta game, and hopefully it's another win. But we'll see. I mean, last time we played Atlanta, I have terrible memories of that game, so looking to looking to erase those from my mind. It was in 2019, and we were like the way better team. And we may
Yeah,
have
it really
actually,
didn't make sense.
yeah, and they beat us. Um, right at some bullshit at the end of the game. We may have even played them last season, honestly. But let me even see. I'm curious because I know if we did, they beat us too. Sons of bitches. No, I think it was. No, thank God, it was 2019. Okay, yeah. See, that's how paranoid I am of the Falcons, bud. So yeah, they beat us 29-22. That bullshit. When we were 11-3 and they were 5-9, they had nothing to play for, and we were on our way to the bowl. So like I have fucking bad mem. Although these Falcons don't have Julio Jones, and Calvin Ridley is dealing with personal issues, and obviously we hope that he's getting the help he needs dealing with that, obviously. But happy that he won't be on the field this Sunday because Calvin Ridley's pretty good.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us this week, and you guys have a good night. Go Niners. And that's gonna